and welcome to everything you need to know about softwood, but you were afraid to ask. You know, for many of us, the minute that we hear the word softwood, we zone out. You might as well be talking to a piece of pine or a plank of cedar. Both, by the way, excellent examples of softwood. See? We're learning already. Softwood is used in the construction of houses and negotiating tables, like this one, where Canada and the USA signed a free trade agreement in 1987. A match made in heaven. It was a tough negotiation. The lead American negotiator tried to intimidate the Canadians by constantly showing up with the latest in technological gadgetry. Our Prime Minister still uses that model. But an agreement was reached. Brian Mulroney, he described it as a mutually enriching and secure document, to which Ronald Reagan responded, "I like cake." But secure it was. And if the two countries ever disagreed over a trade issue, they would simply plead their case in front of a panel with binding powers. Now, Webster's describes binding as 1, placing under legal obligation, 2, to constipate, the inability to defecate. Let's go with 1. Both countries are legally obligated to trade freely, banishing forever unfair tariffs. So what happens when we sell our softwood to the United States? Tariffs, over $5 billion so far. And why? Stumpage fees. The Americans say that the fee that we charge to cut down a tree is too low, and thus there is a subsidy on lumber. Now, this is a very touchy area. Basically, this is the question of, when does lumber begin? George, he says that lumber begins at conception, whereas Canada says lumber begins when the chainsaw shows up. But more importantly, what does the binding panel think? Well, they agree with us. 5 times this went to the panel. July 2003, they sided with Canada. August 2003, Canada again. September 2003, go Leafs, go. August 2004, give her, buddy, give her. August 2005, Canada wins the Stanley Cup of binding arbitration. And 5 times they have been told, give us back our $5 billion. To which George, where are you? George says it's time to return to the negotiating table, a.k.a. the scene of the crime. To which Canada says, George, look up loser. You don't renegotiate after a win, let alone 5. So, to recap, there is no free trade. America owes us $5 billion, and the next time Canada and the United States meet each other, it will not be at a negotiating table, it will be in court. And that's everything you need to know about softwood, but we're afraid to ask.